A detective couple decides to investigate a case of a little girl's kidnapping. This challenges them to confront dangerous criminals. Will they be able to solve the high-profile case? Let's find out. The movie starts in Dorchester, Boston, where a 4-year-old girl named Amanda McCready goes missing from her home. People in the neighborhood are very worried and gather at Amanda's house. The case is also getting a lot of media attention. Meanwhile, Amanda's mom and Aunt Beatrice also talk on TV, asking the people who took Amanda to bring her back. There's a detective named Patrick Kenzie and his girlfriend Angie Gennaro. They also watch the news on TV. A police captain named Jack Doyle tells the media that Amanda might have been taken from the house's back door. Furthermore, he mentions that Amanda had her favorite doll, Mirabelle, with her. The people in the neighborhood work together to find Amanda. They put up posters and have a rally. After watching the news, Patrick and Angie go to sleep. The next morning, Amanda's Aunt Bea and Uncle Lionel come to Patrick's home. There, Aunt Bea says they want to hire Patrick to help with Amanda's investigation. At first, Patrick seems unsure. Then he responds, saying that every police officer in the state is already looking into the case, so they might not be very helpful. Despite this, Aunt Bea insists that he should investigate. Furthermore, she explains that Amanda's mother, Helene, put her to bed and went outside. Later when she came back, Amanda was gone. Afterwards, Patrick and Angie arrive at Amanda's home. When they get there, Angie tells Patrick that she doesn't want to work on this case, as she is worried it might involve child abuse and it would hurt her. However, Patrick reassures her that she can step back after talking to Amanda's family. Inside the house, they meet Helene, who is sitting on the sofa with her friend watching TV. Then Patrick starts asking her questions about Amanda's disappearance, but she seems uninterested and behaves rudely. Aunt Bea and Mr. Lionel get annoyed and ask Helene to behave, but she doesn't seem to care. After a while, she starts using offensive language and leaves the room. Eventually, Patrick and Angie decide to leave after this unpleasant situation. In the hallway, Aunt Bea pleads with Patrick to help them and shows them a picture of Amanda. Thus the detectives agree to take the case. Then Aunt Bea also mentions that Helene is an irresponsible mother and struggles with drug addiction. Moreover, she spends a lot of time at the Fillmore Club with her friends. Meanwhile, Mr. Lionel tries to explain Helene's behavior by saying she's having an emotional breakdown. In the afternoon, Patrick and Angie go to the Fillmore Club to find a clue. There, Patrick meets his friend named Steve and asks him about Helene. While they talk, Steve tells them that Amanda comes to the club to drink 5 times a week. Further, he shares that Helene lied to the police about being at a neighbor's house on the night of Amanda's abduction. Instead, she was at the bar with her boyfriend Ray Lekansky for over 2 hours. Later, the duo meets with the sergeant detectives named Remy Brescent and Nick Poole in a restaurant. During their talk, Remy mentions the names of 3 suspects, Leon Trett, his wife Roberta and a pedophile named Corwin Earl. However, there are still some gaps in understanding their involvement with Amanda's case. Then Patrick shares information about Ray Lekansky and how Helene lied to the police about being at a neighbor's house that night. This leads them to decide to talk to Helene again. After the meeting, the detectives use their connections with various criminals to gather more information about Ray. Fortunately, Patrick learns from his friend Bubba that Helene and her boyfriend Ray are drug addicts. Additionally, they are involved with a drug lord named Cheese. Afterwards, Mr. Remy goes to talk with Helene, and Patrick and Angie join them. They interrogate Helene about her connection with Ray and Cheese. Initially, she tries to deceive them, but eventually, she agrees to talk. Then she tells Remy that she and Ray are involved in drug smuggling with Cheese. Further, she and Ray stole $130,000 from Cheese. Then Remy asks about Ray's location, and Helene reveals that he is in Chelsea. Without wasting time, they all head to Chelsea along with Helene. On their way, Patrick starts a conversation with Helene to build trust. This prompts Helene to share more details about the night Amanda disappeared. However, Helene's violent behavior annoys Angie. Moreover, Angie calls Helene selfish for not contacting Cheese to get Amanda back. Meanwhile, Patrick asks Helene how she's sure Ray didn't spend the money. Thus Helene explains that she hid the money from Ray. Upon reaching Ray's location, they find him dead. Apparently, Cheese's men shot Ray and tied him to a chair. Helene is shocked by Ray's death and rushes to the backyard, with Patrick following her. Then she reveals to Patrick that the money is buried in the backyard. Moreover, she confesses that she doesn't care about the money and just wants her daughter back. They retrieve the money, and Angie suggests involving the FBI. However, Remy advises against it since there is no ransom note. Additionally, Remy and Nick then propose exchanging the money for Amanda with Cheese. Thus Patrick and Angie agree to the plan. Afterwards, they come back home, and Helene starts crying and begs Patrick to find Amanda. Moreover, she promises to stop using drugs if her daughter comes back. However, Patrick reassures Helene, telling her that he's going to put in every effort to locate Amanda. At night, Angie and Patrick meet Remy and Nick outside Cheese's location. They discuss who should go inside to talk to Cheese. Patrick tells Remy that Cheese won't talk to a cop, so they should handle it. Consequently, Patrick and Angie enter to meet Cheese and his partner Chris. Thus Patrick informs Cheese about Ray and Amanda's situation. Initially, Cheese appears uninterested, but Patrick resorts to threats. Following this, Cheese confesses to being involved with Ray but denies any knowledge of Amanda. Unfortunately, Patrick and Angie are unable to find any information about Amanda. At midnight, Remy calls Angie and Patrick to inform them that he received a call from Cheese. Then Cheese says he'll agree to the deal involving Amanda tonight. Meanwhile, Captain Jack also becomes aware of this call. The duo meets with Captain Jack to explain the situation. After a while, Captain Jack shows them the telephone transcript and questions them for engaging in illegal activities. The transcript reveals that Cheese left Amanda's blanket in a mailbox as proof. Moreover, Cheese also mentions meeting at Quincy Lake for the exchange. However, he warns them not to do anything against him, threatening to throw Amanda into the lake. After discussions, Captain Jack agrees to help them save Amanda. Following Cheese's instructions, Patrick and Angie will be on the east side to receive Amanda, while Remy and Nick will handle the money across the lake. Meanwhile, Angie asks Captain Jack whether it's right to keep Amanda's family unaware of the situation. This makes Captain Jack angry and he reveals that he lost his 12-year-old daughter. Also, he explains that he sacrificed his daughter for his career and tells Angie not to question him. Later, at the lake, the plan goes wrong and gunfire breaks out, leading to Cheese's death. Meanwhile, Patrick and Angie hear a splash in the water and rush toward the lake. Without hesitation, Angie jumps into the lake to save Amanda. Unfortunately, she only finds Amanda's doll, Mirabelle, and cannot retrieve Amanda herself. Later Angie finds herself in a hospital bed. Soon Patrick informs her that the divers were unable to locate Amanda as she might have drowned in the deep lake. After a few days, Amanda is declared dead. In the meantime, Captain Jack retires due to the controversies surrounding the case. Additionally, Cheese's associate, Chris, is killed by an unidentified party. On the other side, this incident deeply affects Angie, causing her to remain depressed most of the time. 2 months later, another 7-year-old boy named Johnny Pietro is reported missing. This news once again distresses Patrick. After a few days, Patrick meets his friend Bubba at a bar and takes Patrick for a ride. Along the way, he tells Patrick that he's found Corwin Earl, Leon, and his wife Roberta. When they get close to a house, Bubba reveals that the 3 suspects he mentioned earlier live there. They decide to enter the house to confirm. Inside the house, Bubba exchanges drugs for money with Leon. He also looks around for Corwin Earl. This raises Roberta's suspicion, and she pulls out a gun and aims it at Corwin. At the same moment, Corwin appears from upstairs. Patrick notices that Corwin is wearing the same Street Christopher medallion that Lost Johnny was last seen wearing. Bubba offers drugs to Roberta, and they manage to leave the house. Later, Patrick informs Remy and Nick about Corwin's location. They quickly arrive at the house armed, ready to capture Corwin. However, Nick gets shot in the neck, and Patrick calls an ambulance for help. While on the phone, he hears another burst of gunfire and takes cover behind a wall. Then he enters the house and discovers Leon's lifeless body. Meanwhile, Roberta fires shots blindly into the air. Patrick hurries to the second floor, locks himself in a room, and finds Corwin in a corner. Shockingly, Patrick also finds Johnny's lifeless body in the bathtub. Overcome with anger, he shoots Corwin directly in the head. Remy arrives just as Patrick takes action and kills Roberta. Later, at the hospital, Nick's condition is critical. Moreover, Angie arrives to console Patrick after this intense situation. Furthermore, she expresses her pride in him for ending the life of a child molester. Later that night, Patrick and Remy talk about the incident, which helps Patrick cope with his guilt of killing Corwin. In a drunken state, Remy reveals that he once planted evidence on an abusive husband to assist his family, with Ray Lekansky's help. When Patrick returns home, he recalls how Remy initially claimed not to know Ray. However, he tells Angie about the lie, and she asks her to let it go since Amanda is dead. Later, Nick dies in the hospital. At the funeral, Remy asks Patrick to forget about their conversation from the previous night. However, Patrick meets an officer named Devin and arranges to meet him at a restaurant. There, Patrick informs Devin about Remy lying to him. Then Devon reveals that Remy knew about Cheese's stolen money before Cheese even did. This information leaves Patrick even more puzzled, and he decides to speak with Uncle Lionel. Angie becomes saddened by this revelation and questions Lionel about how he could do such a thing to his sister's daughter. Lionel responds by saying that Helene never cared about her child and doesn't deserve to have her in the first place. At the bar, Patrick questions Lionel about how he knows Remy. At first, Lionel tries to avoid the topic, but Patrick forces him to tell the truth. Finally, Lionel confesses that he and Remy staged Amanda's kidnapping. Furthermore, he explains that he overheard a conversation between Ray and Helene about drug money. This prompted him to call Remy, and they devised a plan to steal the money for themselves. However, their plan went wrong due to Aunt B involving many people in the case's investigation. Then he also reveals that Amanda's death at the lake was an accident. Angie becomes saddened by this revelation and questions Lionel about how he could do such a thing to his sister's daughter. However, Lionel responds by saying that Helene never cared about her child and doesn't deserve to have her in the first place. Suddenly, Remy enters the bar disguised as a robber to interrupt their conversation. Realizing that Remy intends to kill them, Patrick starts shouting that Remy is Amanda's kidnapper. Amidst the chaos, the bartender shoots Remy from behind, and Remy flees from the bar. Patrick begins chasing Remy and catches up to him on the rooftop of a nearby building. There Patrick sees Remy sitting on the floor, covered in blood, and Remy eventually dies. Later, the police question Patrick about Remy's death. Patrick explains the whole story of the Amanda exchange. The police officer informs him that they don't record calls or have transcripts. This reveals that the transcript Captain Jack showed him was also fake. Thus Patrick decides to confront Captain Jack and goes to his home. There, Patrick discovers that Amanda is alive and living happily with Captain Jack. A flashback reveals that Captain Jack was also involved in Amanda's kidnapping, as he staged her death. Then Captain Jack tries to justify his actions by explaining that he did it to provide a better life for Amanda. However, Patrick argues that if Helene isn't a good mother, they should hand Amanda over to social services. Despite Captain Jack's attempts to persuade Patrick, he refuses to keep this secret. Furthermore, he tells Captain Jack that he promised Helene to bring Amanda back, believing that Amanda belongs with her mother. Meanwhile, Angie also tries to stop Patrick, but he doesn't listen. Moreover, he tells her that Helene might change and become a good mother. After a while, Patrick calls the police, and they arrest Captain Jack and take Amanda from his wife. Later the police return Amanda to Helene, and Angie and Patrick break up following the incident. After a few days, Patrick visits Amanda and Helene and realizes that Helene is going on a date. Moreover, he learns that she has no babysitter and intends to have her friend check on Amanda. However, Patrick decides to stay with Amanda until Helene returns. While he tries to engage Amanda in conversation, he asks about her doll, Mirabelle. Surprisingly, Amanda corrects him and says her doll's name is Annabelle. This revelation makes Patrick realize that Helene doesn't even know her daughter's doll's name. This situation prompts him to question his decision as he sits there in silence. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.